How you doing? Hey, family. Apologies that I'm a couple minutes late. So part of the reason I'm late is because there's this weird light beam that is shining over my head. It's been shining over my head since earlier when I was doing that episode with Claudia and Carlos and Dustin. So they told me maybe look like I'm an angel, but it just feels like a white light beaming on my face. All right, guys, let's see who's in here. We see Florence, we see Brianna. Shout out to the moderators. We see Natalia, Danielle, Taylor. You guys came in here so quickly. I love this. And it's so funny. You guys keep on saying I look so nice. This is how I used to look 95% of the time. And it ruined my skin. So it's so funny. When I was working at Hollywood Unlocked and on the Griot and stuff, I had to wear studio makeup like twice a week minimum. And my face, I always had a full beat for so long. The minute I became self-employed and didn't have to be on camera anymore, I just started walking around with a naked face looking slightly homeless. Whatever. Okay, I earned it. But today, oh, somebody said it looks like luminance. Okay, I'll take whatever it is. This white light is getting on my nerves because I do feel like I'm singing at a memorial or something, but it's okay. Guys, we have such a packed day today, right? Because in addition to us doing the show, we're also doing an after show with my sister Mel. Mel's actually going to join us for a little bit of the pre-show. I mean, the live show that we're doing on the general pop area. And then we're going behind the scenes with the members area. And guys, I know I probably have been talking your ears off. I am very passionate in this economy that if I am taking money from members, that they get their money's worth. So I might be going a little overboard with the members only content, but that's just because there are so many charlatans on the internet. The way my ego is set up, I refuse to be mistaken for one of them. You know what I mean? Anyways, guys, we have a full show full of hot topics. I'm actually going to pull up the first hot topic. And you guys know how I am. I do research for a very long time before I feel comfortable talking about something online. We will be talking about the Braxtons at some point. Don't worry. But I love to do research. I love to make sure that I know what the fuck I'm talking about. And it's sad that I even have to say that. I'm looking over here because I'm pulling up some files that I literally just finished uploading. It's sad that I have to say that. But part of the reason why I feel like I'm always running just late for our lives is because I was literally editing video up until 2.5 minutes ago. Right? Oh, by the way, hi to the Blue Crew. I love that you guys just started calling yourselves the Blue Crew. And for anybody who's like, oh my God, Blue's so big-headed, she named her supporters. No, I didn't. I didn't. That was Flo and Brianna and everybody else. They came up with the Blue Crew on their own. I want to always give you guys credit for that. So today's topics, we're talking about 4 topics, hopefully, if we get to it, as much as we can do in the first 90 minutes. So we're going to talk about 4 main hot topics today on the main show. And then in the after show, yeah, I know the after shows are a little bit more relaxed. In the after show, we're going to be talking about a topic that my sister has no idea what the topic is, but it's so perfect. Wait. Oh my God, there's cats having sex outside my window. Oh my God. Y'all, there's literally, okay. This is not ADHD. This is crazy. Bridget always makes fun of me because people know that I'm a witch by lineage. Before anybody gets freaked out, I know my Christian friends say that when they get freaked out. I didn't choose it. It's in my bloodline, right? In my Cuban side, there's a lineage of magic. And Bridget always makes fun of me because when she comes over my house, there's always cats that are roaming around my house just watching me. And there's always crows flying in circles above my house. I'm not kidding, guys. One day I'll take a video. There's always cats roaming around my backyard, and there's always crows circling around my house like they're trying to like protect me. It's the weirdest thing ever. You guys probably can't hear it, but outside my window, I can hear two cats, I think, having sex while the crows are circling above me squawking. Lord, it's still spooky season over here, y'all. I know that's not normal. I'm literally listening to the crows singing while the cats are fucking. Lord, well, I've never beaten the allegations, huh? I'm a godly witch. Anyways, guys. Oh my God, stop. Not the cats are having more sex than me. That's a little depressing. All right, guys, let's get right into the hot topics. First of all, update on the candle line for anybody who's curious. We have started getting in the back order of supplies that we ordered from Parts Unknown, and we are now, I think, up to October 15th. And I think most of October 16th. So if you ordered anything from October 16th and previously, your shipments went out this week. I'm so excited. You guys know that we have to bless everything before they go out. And so that's part of the fact that it takes a little bit longer, I think 3 to 4 weeks, depending on what part of the moon cycle you order in. I know. That sounds so witchy. Guys, I be praying over the candles before I send them to you. So that's why it takes a little bit of time. So if you've ordered candles from me up until October 16th, they have gone out. The next batch will be going out next week when Bridget's in town. I'm super excited about that. Now let's get into the show. Somebody said, hey, Blue, do you have any religious beliefs? Oh, wow. That's a very general question. I am a very God-loving, I don't use the term God-fearing because I don't fear God, because I recognize the God in me. I'm a very God-loving Buddhist who was raised very Christian, whose middle name means Jesus in Hebrew. And so I come from a super Christian family. I am the most Christ-like person in my family, if I'm being very honest. They would probably hate to hear me say that, but it's true. I'm probably more Christ-like than a lot of people I know who try to judge me. And even though I was raised Christian and have very aligned beliefs with Christianity, Christians themselves move in a way that I have a lot of church hurt around. And so I converted to Buddhism. So technically I'm Buddhist, and that is the religion that I choose. Christianity is the religion I was raised in. And being a witch is something that I'm a witch by lineage. I have no choice. I didn't choose to be magical in that way, but you know, it serves my purpose. So I have no problem with it. I hope that answers your question. And I will say this too, guys, because I am a witchy Buddhist who was born hyper Christian and was very Bible thumpy growing up. That's why one of the things I teach in class is about spiritual intimacy. Spiritual intimacy is not based on people having the same religion as you. It's based on people having the same ethics as you, right? If I can't trust you with my husband or my purse, I don't care that you're a Christian. And if I would trust you with my life, I don't care that you're agnostic. So I'm very much someone who speaks to God on a daily basis. In fact, one of the reasons why I was late today, aside from the fact that I was editing video, is I have an altar with my aunt and my uncle who passed away on my altar. I never do a show. Never, ever when I'm in town, when I'm not traveling, do I do a show without first lighting the candles on the altar and thanking them before I speak to you guys and asking them to cover me. So I do think the reason why so many people have tried to cancel me and failed is because I literally pray before every live. Every live. You have never seen me on camera in LA, because when I'm traveling, I have a little candle that I travel with. You have never seen me on camera without me praying first to my aunt and my uncle and my grandfather and my grandmother. Every single live. So even though I'm Buddhist, even though there's witchiness in my bloodline, I know Christians who can't say that, right? And so the titles are the titles. So do I have any religious beliefs? Yes, I have spiritual beliefs because religion is man-made, spirit is God. I have spiritual beliefs that literally tether and inform every single thing that I do, right? I talk to God often, which is why I know that I'm aligned right now. I hope that was helpful, guys. Somebody said you order your candle October 22nd. That means you're going to be part of the next batch next week when Bridget's here. So Bridget Kelly is probably going to help package your candle, and I love that for us. All right, guys, let's get into, by the way, y'all to realize how much I love my friends, and I always shout them out. I'm always shouting out Bridget. I'm always shouting out Monique. I'm always shouting out Kendall and my sister, and even Dexter and Mike, right? When you sincerely love somebody, it is very easy to shout them out and to give them credit, right? Whether they've told you to do something that inspired you and worked out, or they warned you not to do something, but you're choosing to do it anyways. It is a natural thing for me as a human being and as a writer to always cite people who inspire me. Today, we're going to be in one of our hot topics talking about someone who was heavily inspired and not only did not give credit, they're actually now attacking the person who inspired them. Something about that. I know I'm being naive and, oh, you're autistic, you're naive, and grown-ups don't move like that. I get it. I know. But there's something in my perhaps naive heart that doesn't understand how you can love someone deeply, care about them deeply, be compassionate, and see them as people, and not want to thank them or be grateful for their presence or their impact in your life. It's weird business. It's weird to be heavily impacted by someone and not mention it. And the person who I'm talking about, her name rhymes with Flo. And Young Thug thinks she's ugly, allegedly. We'll get into that in a second, okay? All right, first hot topic. I want to start talking about politics real quick, guys, because this has been such an amazing week for politics. For those of you who follow me and Bridget on Patreon, one of the things that we talked about in this week's episode, I think it was called Post-Election PTSD, because last November, we had to go into the studio the day after Kamala Harris lost the election. And we were so devastated that this week, when we were like, fuck, we're about to do another Wednesday episode after a Tuesday election in November, we both had a little PTSD. We were like, if Mamdani loses, for those who don't know, Zoran Mamdani was running for mayor in New York City. It was a historic race for many reasons. It was very much like round two of Trump versus Kamala for people on the East Coast, particularly New Yorkers. It was a big deal, right? It was a very, very big deal. And on Wednesday morning, when we woke up and realized that he won, somebody in here said they're so proud. Oh my God, I almost wanted to cry. And I live in LA, guys. I'm all the way in Los Angeles wanting to cry about the New York mayoral race. That tells you the state that we're in, right? And you have to think about it, guys. For those who don't know, I actually started my career in academics, and then I moved to politics, and eventually I moved to social commentary and digital media. So I think I'm on my fourth career now. Jesus, bitch. So as somebody who used to live in DC and who I constantly mention this because one of the happiest moments of my life was constantly at the Obama White House and was talking to the attorney generals. And I have pictures of me taking selfies in the press room. As someone who was very much a DC girl into the politics circle, I can't help but still get excited about politics the way people get about sports ball, because I don't know anything about sports, y'all. So I want this first segment for us to be a highlight of Mamdani, not just for the Americans who are watching, but for our international folks. Shout out to everybody international. I know South Africa, Nigeria, the UK, Canada, Australia, right? We get so many people who are international who watch this show. And I know you guys know about how much America sucks. So I want to start off with something that shows that we do, some of us do have some sense. Somebody said, why leave DC? Because Donald Trump became president and it turned to Gotham City and was no longer Chocolate City. I left DC because covering the elections actually caused me to have to go on stress medication. That's how bad it was working in politics. I moved to DC in 2007, the year Barack Obama wanted to run for president. I was there the night that he won. I was one of those people on the streets running to the White House and singing for the previous president to get out. I was there when he got inaugurated. I rode around in the motorcade with his wife, Michelle, because she kept inviting me and other people of Black press to come to all her stuff. Me and the Secret Service had jokes around Christmas time. Like I was deeply, in Jamaica, of course I have to call out Jamaica, right? Me and the Secret Service, we started to have shorthand. They were like, there goes Blue, causing a scene. Because I would always bring my friends to the White House with me. Because I was like, oh, bring your friends to work. The White House was so Black friendly. And there are so many things that Barack Obama did quietly for the Black community in his last 100 days that didn't get pressed. That when people say Barack Obama has done nothing for Black people, it's a tricky thing for me to believe because I was there. I was swag surfing on the front lawn of the White House, y'all. And I'm not just saying that, I'm just a nigga. If I can dance in the White House, he's a good president. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying there was an open door policy with Black and brown media, with women and people of color and immigrants, that to see that Black Camelot that we lived in. Oh, what's up, Gia? Gia is one of our other moderators. Nice to see you in here, love. To be part of Black Camelot as it was happening, to have lived in DC from 2007 to 2019, for the entire reign of the Obamas, and to watch the changing of the guard, it broke my heart. It really broke my heart. And then I ended up in LA, which is funny because my frenemies, when I first was realizing that me and DC were no longer tethered to each other, they used to make fun of me by calling me Hollywood. And now I live in Hollywood. Look at y'all manifesting on my behalf. Ain't that funny, huh? Anyways, guys, so let's look at the new mayor, the mayor-elect of New York City. And this is a quick, I think like 8-minute video that I cut up just now. I want you guys to have an understanding of who he is, because a lot of my political connections, choosing my words, this is what's tricky about being somebody who's made a ton of money being a behind-the-scenes fixer. They used to call me Olivia Nope. You know how there's Olivia Pope? I wish you'd be Olivia Nope. People would run things past me for me to say yes or no, like, that's a bad idea, you're going to get dragged, right? So, which is why it's funny, because now I don't drag, but this is why I use the skills that I have now on camera. And when you are somebody who's in those political circles who still gets phone calls at 2 o'clock in the morning, there are stories I will never be able to tell until I'm very, very old and wrinkly and have a memoir and the NDAs have expired. And one of the things that I have been told on more occasions than I would like to count is that y'all's president, that man in the White House who allegedly wears a diaper, yes. Anyways, let me not be petty. He is like I'll say it. Trump wants to shit his pants whenever he thinks about Gavin Newsom in California. And his team considers Gavin Newsom the white Obama. The only thing more dangerous than Black Obama is the white Obama. Okay, so California very often is a target of the White House because there's a soul-crushing fear in the heart of the president that our governor got next, right? And Gavin's with the shits. Y'all know I'm not a fan of inviting white people to the cookout simply because I feel like we have to educate the people who are currently at the cookout before we invite anybody else, okay? You got Black folks who don't know anything about being Black. Let's not invite anybody else until we figure out our own shit. However, Gavin Newsom could drop me off at the barbecue, though. He's not going to let me in. I'm not caping for him. He's not perfect, so don't send me the links. I'm aware. I'm aware. But because he's an ally to me and not someone who I'm calling the first Black president the way we weirdly did with Bill Clinton in the 90s. We were all such coons in the 90s, y'all. Anyways, so Gavin Newsom isn't Bill Clinton where we're all pretending he's the N-word just because he can play the saxophone. He is a white man who is open to listen, right? And like we talked about previously when we had the election last year, I do not need to vote for someone who has every single policy that I agree with. I need to vote for somebody who, number one, I don't think is the Antichrist. And number two, is open to listen and open for the right for us to disagree, right? What's that thing they say? No kings, right? The current president, if you disagree, suddenly you lose your show. So that's neither here or there. So let's do a quick, somebody said, baby, that wasn't my gen. Oh, well. Someone said, if Gavin got a nephew or son, see, y'all always so freaky. What does it say about the environment that I have cultivated? Y'all stay ready to hunch on something. I swear to God. All right, guys, let's look at the mayor-elect of New York City, and let's all celebrate together because I do believe in momentum. I want everybody to understand why New York City, the people in New York City that I love at least, are so excited right now. Come on. NBC, he go right. So this man, this is so funny. Right before the election, they found Mamdani partying at reggae spots and gay clubs. This man said, I need y'all to understand, I am for the people, all people. He was at the gay club, dancing, right? Oh, and he's 420 friendly. And y'all know I have endometriosis. And so for me, marijuana is literally a medicine, right? Because it helps with my womb issues. So this man is, he's not invited to the barbecue either. But again, he can get a to-go plate handed to him by somebody outside. Fox News, and y'all Fox News, and y'all there you go.
Hey, I don't know what Mamdani stand for and all that. But when he said New York is a city of immigrants, built by immigrants, powered by immigrants, and as of tonight, led by an immigrant, that was tough. Then he hit him with, so if you want to get to any of us, you got to get through all of us.
I love that. Squabble up.
Dang.
Y'all, do y'all understand Do y'all understand? Not Good Morning Africa. Well, Good Morning Africa. I love that name. And thank you, my love. Do y'all understand? All the Caribbeans in here, when you hear this song and you see him, you can tell this is not his first time. He's a rapper. He was literally asked if there's one piece of video from about you that you could scrape from the internet, what would it be? He was like, that one time I was rapping with my shirt off. I probably should have put my shirt back on. Okay? I know he knows Wu-Tang lyrics. I'm very clear that the mayor-elect of New York City knows the lyrics to Wu-Tang. I'm very clear about this.
It hasn't even been 24 hours yet, and my boy Zoran Mamdani is already out here working.
Good morning, New York City. Thank you.
That shit-eating grin. Let me tell you, Trump, they had to probably change Trump's diaper a couple of times after the results came in. I'm not even going to hold you. And so people out there who are incontinent, I'm not taking a jab at you. I just can't stand our president. But let's continue watching.
Last night we made history, and today we begin the work of making a new administration. Welcome to the transition.
After mollywopping Andrew Cuomo's ass last night in that election, beating him decisively.
He mollywopped him, y'all. It wasn't even a nail biter. I think everybody went home by lunch. Like, he mollywopped this man. And Cuomo, that name is an American institution like the Kennedys, unfortunately, / fortunately, especially in New York.
Becoming the first Muslim mayor-elect of New York City and the first mayoral candidate to win over 1 million votes since 1969 in New York City history.
And he's a millennial. He's a Muslim millennial. So we could have just gone to high school together.
Zoran got his ass up early to make a video to thank all of his supporters that helped him through the campaign and to also say that he's going to start documenting the next 57 days. Next 57 days will be the transition period before he's inaugurated as the actual mayor of New York City.
Do you hear what he's saying? He's saying, I'm already building in checks and balances before I even start my first day of work. How many of y'all would start working 2 months early? He's not doing this for the money because y'all don't understand. Politicians don't get paid as much as y'all think, right? They don't get paid as much as you think. Being a politician is one of those things where you kind of have to have another hustle. And so the fact that his love for New York is so loud, even before he started his job, is so, as somebody who lived in New York City for 5 years, this type of shit makes me excited.
After that video, he went directly to a press conference, his first press conference as mayor-elect, where he had a clear message for ICE agents and Donald Trump.
My message to ICE agents and to everyone across this city is that everyone will be held to the same standard of the law. If you violate the law, you must be held accountable.
Y'all, I'm not even going to get into how I feel about ICE, but what other time in history have we had a group of enforcers in America who had to cover their faces in order to rob people of their human rights? What other group have we had in American history who had to cover their faces in order to enforce them taking away the human rights of people living in this land? It starts with a K, it ends with a K, and there's also a K in the middle. Yeah. So the fact that ICE is the modern day iteration of that, historically speaking, this is not an opinion, this is actually a fact. The fact that ICE is the modern day equivalent of that group, and this Muslim man has been elected by the people. Ooh, I'm going to tell you guys, when Mamdani won, I had the exact range of emotions that I had when Obama won. Excitement and then caution. Like, Lord, please just keep him safe. Remember when Obama won and he's walking down the street during his inauguration with his wife, and every Black person I knew at the time admitted later on that they clenched their booty cheeks, said, please don't shoot him. Please don't shoot him. Wait, somebody said his birthday is 10/18/91. Wait, did New York City? No, hold on. Did y'all elect the Libra? Sorry. I get it, girl. As somebody who's been engaged once to a Leo and once to a Libra, I get it.
And there is sadly a sense that is growing across this country that certain people are allowed to violate that law, whether they be the president or whether they be the agents themselves.
And at this press conference, Zohran Mamdani also said that he would be ready on day one, mainly because he already assembled a transition team, an all-star, all-women transition team.
This man was manifesting his ass off so much that before he even officially won, he already had a list of women that he wanted to make sure were keeping him honest. You know who else has had women speaking on his behalf and making sure that he's on his P's and Q's? Gavin Newsom. When people talk about Gavin Newsom and his social media presence and how he's been masterfully trolling the president, it is, I believe, a Latina woman who is behind that. The fact that the 92% got exhausted and men who understood that they were systemically positioned to do what we couldn't, unfortunately, immediately reached back and grabbed some of us to help them. I fucking love that.
His first transition co-chair is Grace Bonilla, who serves as president and CEO of a New York City nonprofit helping low-income New Yorkers by coordinating service providers, companies, and local government services. She will be a key part in making sure that government services are people-friendly, people-centered, and people-focused. Making sure that people are educated on having the resources and the tools to getting the services that they need. Then we have Lena Khan, who is a former Federal Trade Commission chair and the nation's leading anti-monopoly champion.
What? So it's not just women. It's like genius level women. The very kind of women that the opposite side says shouldn't exist because we should all be trad wives. And be clear, he's not just picking black or white. He's picking ethnicity as well, which tells me that he understands the xenophobia is just as loud as the racism and the tribalism that's happening in this country. There's so much nuance to this, guys.
The billionaires who own multi-million-dollar corporations hate her because she's going to make sure that not only they pay their fair share, but that they're not monopolizing the market to price gouge you. Then we have Maria Torres Springer, who's the deputy mayor for housing. She led the implementation of Housing New York, a 5-borough, 12-year plan.
If you live in New York, you know the word housing and New York can strike fear in the heart of anybody. The only time in my life I've ever feared, like, am I about to be homeless, was when I lived in New York. And it's not even about money. Even if you have the money, the system to get housing in New York is so litigious and just tedious that even if somebody was to cut you a check, you'd still be scared you couldn't get an apartment.
To create and preserve 300,000 affordable homes. She's going to be a crucial part in making sure that Zohran can implement his policy of building way more affordable homes and lowering housing costs and lowering rent costs. And it's already been announced that during his transition, Zohran will go on Thursday to Puerto Rico for a Somos 25.
Puerto Rico, the part of America that Republicans don't know is part of America. When Trump said he had beef with Puerto Rico's president, did anybody tell him that that was him? Remember when we had that members only live and my sister Mel gave me some strong weed and I accidentally doubled myself on the screen and didn't realize I was arguing with myself? That's what it feels like when Trump says that he don't like the president of Puerto Rico, even though he is the president. Let me just hit play, child.
Conference. Somos 2025 conference is held in Puerto Rico every year, and it's about bringing together leaders and learners, activists and artists, public officials and private sector champions with the shared belief that the future must be shaped with our communities, not for them. Not only is there history and a deep-rooted cultural significance between Puerto Ricans and New York, there's also about 1 million Puerto Ricans that live there.
Thank you, okay? I don't know about y'all, but back in my day, New York was considered an ethnic group. There was Puerto Ricans, as T.S. Madison always says. I love, by the way. I feel like Selena's when I put on this wig. I'm Puerto Rican. Bitty, bitty, bam. Sorry, I love T.S. Madison and I love Selena, so that's one of my favorite clips of all time. So New Yorkers, when I was growing up, were considered their own ethnic group. So for you to have that many Puerto Ricans hearing you acknowledge their humanity in this way, I'm about to get a political boner.
It's very important that Zohran is going to have this immersive experience, go to this conference to learn about how he can support and provide better resources for Puerto Ricans living in New York. All of this, and it's only been day one.
And it's not even day one of him being the mayor. It's day one after he won. It's day one of being the mayor-elect, y'all. He not even mayor. How is he doing more after he got the job than most people do on the job? Think about that, right? And as an Afro-Latin woman who heavily identifies with their blackness, right? and who also is constantly championing for African Americans to be seen as a viable and impactful ethnic group on their own, regardless of all the other iterations of Black that are taught systemically to judge them. It feels so good to watch somebody not only understand the nuances between race, ethnicity, and nationalism, but to also do it in a way that shows that he wants us to be better educated about how to treat each other better. So many of you still don't know that Black and Latino are not the same thing. One is a race, one is an ethnic group. That's why I'm Afro-Latina. I thought you was Black. Bitch, what do you think the Afro is? I'm Black. Black is my race. Latin is my culture. And before you say, but I thought you were Haitian, what do you think was the first independent Latin country? The reason why I don't want to admit the Haiti's in Latin America, even though it was literally the first independent Black and Latin republic, is because there's Black. And you were told that Latin is exotic and niggas are normal. So the thought that we could be both. What you mean you're Black and Latin? But like being Black and don't talk shit about Black Americans. That exists. They told me at the ADOS meeting that those things don't exist. Yes, they do. Either that or I'm a fucking unicorn.
Of his transition.
Did anyone catch this moment in Mom Donnie's victory speech?
A great New Yorker once said that while you campaign in poetry, you govern in prose.
While you campaign in poetry, you govern in prose. That is a fucking bar. That is a fucking bar. And do you know what's amazing about that bar? The minute I heard it, I was like, as somebody who once was, actually, I can't say that either. Fuck. There's a very beloved Black political figure, very, very beloved Black political figure, who for a brief amount of time, I was in the running to be their speechwriter. And so for about a week or so, I got really immersed in Obama's speechwriter and what he was doing, because I was like, this person is so important politically that if I do get the job of writing on their behalf, I want to make sure that I'm doing my part for this country, right? And one of the things I realized is speechwriting is hard, guys. Speechwriting is so hard. And one of the things that's really fun about speechwriting is all these subtle pieces of shade, historical shade, you get to throw. What do they call them? Robin's eggs? When you drop a little something and something, and then you have to know what it means. What does that always mean? Blue jays, robin eggs. What do they call that, y'all? I'm not going to look it up because I've been told previously that whenever I ask y'all a question, there's a delay in the live, and then y'all answer it while I'm still Googling it. Whatever those little eggs are called, I love how speechwriters, Easter eggs, thank you, my loves. Easter eggs. I loved studying how Easter eggs are planted all through some of the best speeches in history. So the minute he said this, a great New Yorker once said, a red herring is more of when it's an okie doke, when you falsely tell somebody that this person did it in a murder mystery and it's actually somebody else. So it's close, but not quite. So the Easter eggs in this speech, I was like, wait a minute, who's the great New Yorker? Well, I looked up who's the great New Yorker, and this lovely woman on TikTok figured out who it was, and it's fucking Petty.
If that must be true, let the prose we write still rhyme, and let us build a shining city for all.
I don't ruin it when I'm trying to build up.
That, I noticed that Mom Donnie made a pause, looked around, didn't get the reaction he was looking for, and kept going. And I realized that that was meant to be a moment that went over all of our heads, including mine. I had to look it up. I had to see who this great New Yorker was that he was quoting. And when I did, I found that it was Mario Cuomo, Andrew Cuomo's father.
Imagine I beat your ass mercilessly, right? Imagine I stomp you out in a city that you thought was yours, and when I win, I quote your daddy. A great New Yorker, your daddy. As a nerd, this is how we play dirty. As a nerd, this is what we do. This is our thing. I was like Raven Simone eating that peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I sat there and chuckled for a good 32 seconds. As your daddy once said before I beat your ass. And what's crazy is, yes, it is Shakespearean. Funny enough, me and Shakespeare were born the same week. Me and my sister Mel, we were both born. And by the way, for those who've asked, Mel is not my blood sister, but she's still my sister. We're gonna get into that in a second because y'all gonna think, oh, that means she's Afro-Latin too. No, Mel's from Iowa. But one of the things that me and Mel always used to talk about is that we're born during the same week. It's called the cusp of power. And the cusp of power, guess who else was born that week? Shakespeare and Hitler. And I remember when I first started studying astrology in high school, I was like, wait, I was born the same week as Shakespeare and Hitler? What the fuck? That's a horrible week. Until one of my teachers pulled me aside and said, Blue, you were voted, and I was nominated, most likely to have a talk show in school, right? Because people find you persuasive. Think about Shakespeare and Hitler. What do they have in common? They both understood the power of language. You were born during a week where people understand the gravity and the power of language and how having a mastery of language can literally change the nation for the better or for the worse. And I said, oh, fuck. And that was the beginning of me realizing I need to watch my fucking mouth. I need to watch my mouth. When I realized that I was born the same week as someone who's considered one of the architects of playwriting, and someone who's considered one of the most heinous human beings to ever exist, and they both were wielding the same power that I was born with, I was like, yeah, words have power. I probably need to start talking to people differently. And so that's just a little message, guys, right? Shakespeare, Hitler, same week, same skill set, very, very, very different morals, right? And that makes you think no one is harmless because your words have an impact. And I love that whether it's Barack Obama or Mamdani, they both have that same understanding. They both understand the power of using language to create emotions in people. Make sense? You guys are probably still freaking out about the H-E-double, yeah. I can't help it.
Who was the 52nd governor of New York. He served 3 terms. He was a Democrat, and he had a lot of progressive initiatives that he oversaw.
Who is Rama Dawaji, Zohran Mamdani's wife? Rama Dawaji is...
Now, we can't talk about millennial Muslim Obama, because I feel like anybody who's charismatic actually acts like he cares about people and is very polarizing is going to always be compared to Obama for the rest of his life, right? So we can't talk about the Obama-esque Mamdani without talking about who his Michelle is, who his wife is. And what I think is so fascinating about his wife is she doesn't represent my generation. She represents the generation right underneath me, right? What I would call my little sisters. And she's not moderate, right? One of the things that happens to the Obamas is when you're the first Black anything, you have to be moderate just not to be assassinated. Can we be honest? I don't want to be the first Black anything because first Blacks have to toe the line. By the third or fourth Black, we can actually be honest and radical. So the fact that she is so radical, and by radical, I just mean being humanitarian rather than subscribing to tribalism or xenophobia, is refreshing and also fascinating to me. So let's look at his Michelle. Let's look at his wife. And I'm calling her Michelle in the most respectful way possible. I'm not saying it to be flippant.
28-year-old Syrian-American artist who is about to become the First Lady of New York City. She was born in Houston to Syrian parents. Her father's a computer engineer, her mother's a doctor. She grew up in the US and spent summers in Damascus, with her family later moving to Dubai.
Grew up in the US, summers in Damascus, and then later moved to Dubai. That is what we call a global citizen.
Dawaji studied art at university, first in Qatar, then in Virginia, and became a ceramicist, illustrator, and digital artist. Her work...
Being radical and being an artist, you already know what type of time she's on. She and I have the same clock. You already know what type of time she's on.
Focuses on identity, and she's been openly political on Instagram, criticizing American imperialism and speaking out about Gaza. In 2021, she moved to New York and later met Mamdani on Hinge.
The fact that
she later met him on Hinge. Now, guys, this has become... Hinge needs to send him... Can Hinge write him a check? Hinge needs to donate to his favorite charity, because the way that Hinge has skyrocketed in popularity and trending since this man won, the new mayor-elect of New York City met his wife on Hinge. Yes, guys, on Hinge. For anybody who... Hinge, y'all. Their stock is about to skyrocket, and they owe him a thank you, like a fruit basket at least.
Mayor of the biggest city in America met his wife on Hinge. All the other apps got to pack it up. At this point, if you are on the dating apps, there's no reason to be on one that's not Hinge. Respectfully, if you ask me. I feel like Hinge, if you're listening, if you're out there, if you're smart, you will take that little nugget of information and you will take that shit to the moon, okay? Because if I was you, all over the tri-state, I'm putting up a billboard saying that the new mayor of New York City.
For those of you who are saying Hinge sucks, I wouldn't know because unfortunately of the industry I'm in, I don't ever know who recognizes me. It doesn't take much. You don't have to be famous for Hinge to be too hot for you. Just be a public figure. Being a public figure on Hinge is a bad idea. I'm gonna save this story for when we hit 1,000 members. There's a story about a night that I had as a member of the kink community. I no longer am a member of the kink community, guys. I'm in the space now where I'm looking for a husband. But when I was a member of the kink community, there was a very interesting evening that happened. And the next morning I woke up and found out that he knew me from social media and hadn't told me. So I'm just going to say, public figures can't do Hinge. They can't. Not you even got to be famous. If you have more than 10,000 followers and you run your mouth for a living, you cannot do. So, Steph, why are you asking? Y'all, that's a members only question. We'll talk about that. Okay, let's get back to the video, y'all.
He met his wife, his beautiful, very elegant, very sleek, refined wife on the Hinge app.
The two got married at City Hall earlier this year. She's far from a traditional political spouse. She's an artist, visibly online, and part of a new generation of outspoken Arab American voices.
Look at these pictures. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to make this big so y'all can see it because I was like, oh, already? So the bros waste no time, guys, right? I need you to understand that creeps don't waste any time. The minute it was announced that Mamdani had met his wife on Hinge and now he was about to be the mayor, look what these mother suckers did. Hold on, I'm going to make myself small. The fuckboys have already started saying, yo, I want to be your Mamdani all over Hinge now. The performative males, as the kids call them, are already all over. Somebody said Renaissance Reloading. Are already all over Hinge, using him as their future. The man's been the president-elect. The man has been the mayor-elect for 5 minutes. Exactly, Jackie B. I hate it here. So it's cute and yes, and the picture eats. I wanted to show some of their pictures, guys. This picture is sweet. So Hinge, skepticism aside, this picture was sweet. And I was like, oh, they're very sweet. Okay, that's very wholesome. Child, there is one picture that me as a girl who's lived a full life immediately clocked their tea. I'm going to play the next picture. Let me know if you see it too. Do y'all see this? What do y'all see when y'all look at this picture? Let's see how much discernment y'all have around freaky shit. Do y'all see this? Do y'all see this picture? I'm gonna make it bigger. My nigga, if you ever see my man do something amazing and I cuff his chin and he looks up at me like a puppy dog and I'm saying, good boy. Yeah. They I'm not gonna say anything out loud. The girls who get it on TikTok, they got something called golden retrievers and what is it? Alley cats? No, black cats or whatever. Yeah. Somebody said, Lord Jesus, it don't take much for me to clock my people. That's all I'm gonna say. It don't take much. The minute I saw this picture, you ain't gotta say shit else to me about what's happening in that household, and I'm here for it. Okay? As a black cat looking for her golden retriever. Sorry about Alley Cat. Y'all know my brain. My bad. But as a black cat looking for a golden retriever. Okay, this is another reason why I had to leave politics, because the way that I be seeing stuff be getting me. The fact that I never got canceled in the political realm is hilarious, because bitch.
I don't want a Muslim in charge of New York City or any part of this country. But here's the thing. I don't want a Christian in charge of any part of this country either. I don't want anyone whose faith is their identity. Because the fact is, everyone who's in political leadership in this country should be focused on everyone, should care about everyone, should stand for everyone, regardless of their religious beliefs. I am more afraid of what Christians are doing as political leaders than anyone.
Y'all, as someone who moves in a way that is so Christ-like, I'm going to keep on saying it so the Christians don't freak out on me, and who was raised heavily, heavily Christian. I cannot tell you how many Christian friends I've had who love me say to me, Blue, don't tell people that you're a witch by lineage because you're such a good person. We wouldn't want them judging you. And I always say, no, I want them judging me so I know who I'm standing in front of. I don't want to have to lie about who I am because your God told you. Your alleged God, based on the man in the pulpit who's just human, just like me, told you that my humanity is up for grabs because you've been taught to hate things that trace back to my West African lineage. No, I'm going to tell you my lineage up front. I'm going to tell you that I'm a witchy Buddhist, right? Witch by lineage, Buddhist by choice, raised Christian, still walks the world, making Christians proud in the way that I move. Because I want to see, who are you in this moment? Are you equipped to see my humanity, or does that language strike fear in your heart in a way that makes you unable to see me, right? And if you're unable to see me because of those words, then that immediately tells me how far I can take my trust in you. So for anybody who's like, Blue, I can't believe you just go around, especially for, shout out to my Nigerian and West African contingency in general. Whenever a West African person knows who I am and what I stand for and still shows me love, it always warms my heart because the missionaries made it a point to go to the continent of Africa to make Africans scared of their magic. Right? They made it a point to make the people who are at the center of Wakanda, right? At the core of the good juju, scared of juju. And so shout out to the West Africans out there who see me and love me and don't judge me. For those who do judge me, typical.
Any Muslims. Sohran Mandani, everything that I have seen from that man says that he cares about everybody in the city. His goal is for all of New York City to thrive. Not just the wealthy, not just the Muslims, not just any religion, not just any kind of person. Everybody. I don't care that Mamdani is a Muslim.
I don't either. And fun fact, my first fiance was from Philadelphia and he was Muslim, and I heavily considered converting. For those who are like, Blue, I saw you out and about. By the way, shout out to everybody who's noticed me in public and kept it very respectful, particularly the young lady who saw me. And I'm going to talk about this around Thanksgiving during one of the members only lives. I had a very heartbreaking argument with my uncle on the last day of my trip to see my mother for her birthday. It broke my heart. It broke my heart. And I'm not going to say too much why, because my family does stalk me online. Apparently they're fans. But after that argument with my uncle, I was so heartbroken, but like, okay, right? I'm not a fragile person. I'm a deeply compassionate. I feel things deeply, but I'm not fragile. So something can hurt me deeply and I still won't break. And after that argument, I was shaken. And my first thought was, and this is going to sound so horrible, thank God I'm the Terry of the family and I can afford to get the fuck out of here. Because one of the things about financial freedom is money doesn't make you happy, but it gives you the freedom to figure out what the fuck does. Right? Money equates to freedom, and then freedom eventually gets you to happiness, right? And so I was like, wait a minute, you talking to me crazy. All I have to do is call an SUV to come pick me up and I can leave. I can afford to leave when you get weird. I've worked so fucking hard that when you get weird, there's a man in a truck waiting to take me out of here. So I call the SUV, get dropped off at the Delta One Lounge, am trying not to cry. And I walk into the Delta Lounge, and as they're telling me, ma'am, there's actually a Delta Lounge that is closer to your gate. So maybe you should go to the other one so that if you are hanging out, you don't have to worry about rushing for your flight. And as I'm saying thank you to this man for telling me there's a lounge closer. Because unfortunately for Boston, the Delta One Lounge itself is near international flights. So it's fucked up, but you pay all that money. But when you're flying locally from Boston, you can't actually access the Delta One Lounge. You have to go to the regular Delta Lounge. So I'm like, I can't believe I spent all this money and I still can't go into the super fancy lounge. All right, whatever. And as I'm about to walk away, this young lady, and she might be in here because I think I saw her in the comments the same day when I was on live. She says, Blue, I love you. And then she just like winked at me, went back to work. And she had the biggest smile on her face. And I almost wanted to cry. If you see this, I think her name might be Nia. I think that's the name I saw in the comments. If you see this, thank you. Because you don't understand that I love you was all I was asking of my uncle. Right? I'm paying all these bills for my family. I'm single-handedly making sure my mother stays alive. I'm flying cross country every 3.5 weeks and spending thousands of dollars that I could have spent on a nicer home, checking on my family, and I couldn't even get a fucking thank you. I couldn't get an I love you. And I was like, I'm going to give up trying. You guys resent that I'm the abundant one in the family, and that's okay. And 40 minutes later, one of you looks at me and says, Blue, I love you. Mm. I think people don't realize that strong people are still people, right? Strong people are still people. And so when I say I feel a deep gratitude and a commitment to making sure that everybody who's in this space feels seen and loved and appreciated, and that anybody who invests in my products or signs up for my workshops or even joins the members area feels like this is not a cash grab, right? Because there's nothing worse in this world than seeking community. There's nothing worse in this world than seeking community and feeling like a charlatan is out for your pockets. And I've done this work for free for so long that when my accountant said, Blue, you work too hard, you need to start getting paid. The idea of asking for compensation for my intellectual labor, it used to fuck with me, and it still kind of fuck with me because I'm a Caribbean woman, and in the Caribbean, we do things for love all the time, right? And so the fact that I could be properly compensated in this space, pour into y'all, and y'all still feel like it was worth it and pour back, that means a fucking lot. And it's also the reason why I will never understand charlatans, because one of the reasons why I was so, and this is a segue into the next topic, guys. So let me make sure I pull up the next video. One of the reasons why I was so hurt about my argument with my uncle. For those who are asking what happened, don't worry, we will be talking about this in the members live. Is because the weekend that Mel and I were in Boston for my mother's 79th birthday, my cousin who is schizophrenic had an episode, and he could not join the party. I found out because we were about to pick him up that he was being taken to the emergency room because he had an episode. And I was so heartbroken because he had been texting me, I love you all night. And I was like, he's being oddly clingy. That's not like him. Is this an episode? And unfortunately it was. And so being in a family where there's so many mental health problems, and I'm someone whose job it is to heal everybody else, right? When I'm with my family, I try to love on them the way I love on my clients, the way I love on my friends. And it was just so nasty to me that I was there for the party, set it up, flew in Mel, flew in myself, booked the apartment for us to stay in for the week, did all these things, watched my mother literally ate and laughed and danced for 2 days straight. And to feel like the person who showed up 4 days late and missed the party can't even say thank you or I love you, it fucked with me heavy. And it also, and mind you, my family's in the church, right? I love my uncle. He's a pastor, right? For those who say, Blue, why don't you call yourself a Christian? Again, because unfortunately, the fact that I move more Christ-like than many of the Christians who judge me makes it hard for me to align with that terminology for personal reasons, right? So again, I'm moving Christ-like, and somebody who's Christian is judging me for it. I was going to do a live that same week about Keisha Kayor. And when I'm going to the airport and I've had that exchange with that young lady who said, Blue, I love you. And I was like, oh my God, I just needed to hear that right now. And if God sent you to say it to me, I'll take it. Bitch, I'll take it, right? I'm like, maybe I should finally do that episode on Keisha Kayor and how she was there for Gucci Man and X, Y, and Z. You guys don't know, there's so many stories that I've always wanted to cover that I just get so busy I can't, right? I have to pick. I can't cover everything. You guys tag me in everything. You guys sure enough tag me and everything, but I can't cover everything. So I'm like, damn, I'm really sad that I couldn't do the Keisha Kayor story because as somebody with schizophrenia in my family, somebody with narcissistic personality disorder in my family, somebody with bipolar disorder in my family, somebody who has an anxiety disorder herself, I love the idea of Keisha Kayor being an entree point to talk about the mental health crisis that we're in right now. And then something said, Blue, remember how you said you don't ever rush to be the first to talk about something? You rush to be the most nuanced to talk about something. Just let it breathe. Something told me, Blue, don't cover Keisha Kayor just next. Your heart wants to love this because she is loving on a schizophrenic black man in public, and you see your cousin in Gucci, and you're so excited about that, right? Let this breathe a little bit. What have I learned? Whenever I'm about to champion someone, and my spirit guides say, not so fast. By the way, welcome to all the new members that are joining. Shout out to Jasmine Humphrey. Shout out to Alex the Ninja. Oh, I love ninjas, right? So Spirit said blue, not yet. Blue, not yet. Sure enough, as of 72 hours ago, I've now come to realize why God didn't want me to do a video clapping for Keisha Kayor. Methinks Keisha Kayor might be scamming us a little bit, allegedly. Yes, you guys request a lot of topics. Yes, I am happy that I waited. Oh, bon Dieu. Keisha, you are a Caribbean woman who is holding down your family. I am built to love you for that. I am built to clap for you, speaking on behalf of the eldest daughter archetype of the girl, and you just kept. Y'all, let's watch this video about why in the last 3 or so days, the public sentiment around Keisha Kayor, the applause that we all gave her, how beautiful that you're allowing this black man who is struggling with his mental health to feel supported and not judged. It has shifted. Let's watch this video real quick.
I knew that Earth was ghetto. I knew that we were doomed. When Keisha Kayor got on that Breakfast Club interview yesterday and told everybody how Gucci Mane was schizophrenic and she be saving him from himself by taking his phone, changing his passwords and all that dumb shit, I knew that we were doomed when today it just came out that on her website, she's selling $525 mental health consultations.
Y'all, Keisha Kayor. Keisha Kayor, whose claim to fame is being an entrepreneur, being a down-ass bitch, holding her man down, and always making sure that we know how much she has his back, which are all amazing things, by the way, is somehow charging double, if not triple, the market value rate of a licensed therapist to not be a therapist. For $525 an hour, you could book me, an EQ coach who has been doing this for 20 years, a licensed therapist in your state, and probably buy you a Hot Pocket or a snack on the way home, and still have change left over for $525. And I said, no, ain't no fucking way. I said, ain't no way. Keisha, no, ain't no way. So I started to do some research. Yeah, I need to make that into a mug. So I've done some research. All right. And apparently y'all didn't make this up. Apparently Keisha Kayor really is doing this, right? And the caption for this article is real therapists don't even charge that much. People are getting upset because Keisha Kayor is charging all this money. So I decided to go on her website, and sure enough, guys, it's true. If you go on her website for 101 general life advice, particularly, and she listed including mental health. By the way, she changed the link, I think. Yeah, because the word mental health was in here. Wait, did she change the link because of the backlash? Hold on. She changed it. Okay. Starting a business coaching. So for starting a business coaching, it's $525. I'm seeing a pattern. General life advice, $525. Okay. What used to be here was mental health advice. So somebody probably told her, here's the irony, for money management, $525. Keisha, the first thing I would tell somebody to manage their money is to not pay $525 to talk to you for 60 minutes. So Keisha changed it, y'all. Did I take a screen grab? Now, hold on. Now, the Blue Toulouse one that I was raised to be, did I take a screen grab? Now I gotta go look for a screen grab. Not $500 an hour, $525. For those who are asking, who is she? She's an it girl. Keisha Kayor is an it girl, and I'm gonna see if I took a screen grab of it before she changed it, because something in my gut told me she was gonna change it. I want you guys to understand that the way that I move through the world to make sure that my hands are clean and that there's checks and balances and I'm not being unfair and I'm not doing this and that. I wish somebody was there to have that conversation with Keisha Kayor. Because, hold on. I don't think I took the screen grab. Damn, I must have been busy that day. For you to charge people $525 in this economy, do y'all understand that is the full price of 8 weeks of my class? 8 weeks of my class for something I've been doing for over a decade? 8 weeks of my class is less expensive than an hour with Keisha Kayor. And respectfully, she might be more famous. I don't think she's more capable. So when I saw this, I was like, oop, my spidey sense are tingling, Keisha. Y'all know how I feel about taking money from the general public, particularly Black and brown people who Keisha Kayor knows are the only people who know she is. We have this thing that we call Black famous because the word the mainstream is, it's very racist. And so people can be famous in different subcategories, but not be famous with the mainstream. And by mainstream, I mean white, right? And there's a famous, I think, Kevin Hart joke. Kevin Hart was like, I thought I was rich. And then I realized I was Black rich because my next door neighbor was a dentist, right? A white dentist is as powerful as me being Kevin Hart. And it took me a while to realize that there was Black famous and then there was regular mainstream famous. For you to be someone who your community is very specifically the community that is consuming from you, and for you to do something like this, it immediately
She's in no way a mental health professional. She's in no way a mental health professional. This is against the law. I'm not really sure what she's doing. So you thought because you help your husband manage his schizophrenia that we were just going to automatically think that you were qualified. Do we look like Gucci Man?
Oh,
no, like, do we look like Gucci Man? What is wrong with y'all? Now, I be wondering, like, what is wrong? People find any...
$525. And let me tell y'all, and I'm going to make a confession. Sometimes when I see people with 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, 500,000 followers do videos where they're saying stuff like, oh my God, I can't believe rent is $1,300. That's so much. I'd be like, big cat, bitch. You know you can afford way more than $1,300. I don't even care if you live in Atlanta, right? Sometimes when I see people who I think are affluent act like certain price tags are so shocking to them, I call bullshit, right? This is real. I don't think there's any tax bracket that doesn't think it's wild to spend $525 to talk to a makeup guru who happens to be married to Gucci Man. I'm a bougie bitch who buys caviar as an emotional eating snack, okay? I'm a bougie bitch. The fact that I'm stunned and my full Taurus splendor, y'all, $525 is insane. If you are someone who has paid Keisha Kayor $525 for 60 minutes to Kiki on the phone, Gia, you're right. It's a grift. Usually when y'all say shit is too expensive, because I used to live in LA, then I moved to DC, then I lived I live in LA, used to live in New York, then I moved to DC. For me, shit that y'all call expensive, I'd be like, where I live, that's regular. This ain't regular, y'all. There's no part of America where this is, there's no part of Jamaica where this is regular. Let me stop being upset.
Any angle that they can to exploit people when they have a little bit of buzz. And I just pray that God always numbers my steps and leads them so that I'm not exploiting my fucking people when I have a little more buzz in my name. Because that is diabolical. You are not a counselor. You're not a clinician. You're not none of that. But you think because you manage your husband's money and his schizophrenia, of course you're managing his schizophrenia. You manage his money. Ooh, I'll manage it too if the price is right. That now all of a sudden you're a mental health professional or a guru. Y'all have to really go to hell with this one. You really did.
First, I thought it was beautiful hearing Keisha open up about the realities of being the wife to someone that has mental health struggles, because people act like people don't have schizophrenia, DID, bipolar, borderline personality. Like, this happens in real life. So at first I took Keisha saying that she takes his phone or she deletes apps off his phone whenever he has episodes. I seen it as her being supportive to her husband. But then as I listened to her talk more, I'm trying to figure out how supportive is she really? Because how supportive of a wife can you be when in the same conversation you say that you don't have any mental health issues that your husband doesn't at your...
Y'all, I'm not going to hold you. That was my red flag, even when I thought that she was on the right side of history. When they said, Keisha, you support him mentally, who supports you mentally? She said, me, just myself. Mm-mm. 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 40% of my clients are therapists. I am very aware that therapists need therapists, healers need healers. The fact that you are supposed to be advocating for mental health, but are saying that you're above it? Yeah. That was already a red flag, but the grift just solidified that something was wrong.
Stronger than him. What type of supportive wife says that? And then I noticed that Gucci got on his sunglasses the entire interview indoors, which I know celebrities do that, but with this conversation, it gave a little bit more jaded. Especially considering that Keisha basically took over this conversation like Gucci barely said anything, which is weird considering the fact that this is in promo of Gucci's book about him opening up about his struggles with his mental health. Which, did he really want to write this book? Because
did he really even want to write this book? I once was about to get into an argument with Icky about something that he had done. And Bridget said, Blue, everything you're about to tell that man is right, but you're also talking to him like you're his mother. Why would you even want to date somebody who you have to mother? That shit made my proverbial dick shrink so fast. I was like, never mind. Never mind. There's a line between supporting someone and mothering them. And mothering a grown-ass man is not only enabling and icky and disrespectful and inappropriate, it's also really disrespectful. Just because somebody has schizophrenia doesn't mean you completely rob them of their dignity. In fact, the fact that I have schizophrenia in my family is why I always make sure to say, I love you, you mean so much to me, over and over to my cousin, because I don't ever want him to harbor shame.
But Keisha, like, taking over this conversation, it kind of gave that he didn't. The interview kind of gave that the book was Keisha's idea and not Gucci's, considering his lack of involvement in the conversation. And then the fact that after this interview airs, now Keisha's offering $525 mental health consulting sessions on her website when she don't got no license, she don't got no credentials for that. It gives that the support that she's giving her husband is not because she genuinely loves her husband, it's because she sees it as an opportunity for her to do things like this, charging people over $500 for a mental health consulting session. What, girl? I'm seeing people saying that the way she's writing for Gucci is the same way that Kim should have wrote for Kanye and that Kim gave up on Kanye. And no.
I have a Kanye story. You already know where I'm about to have that story. I'm not doing any of my celeb story times to the general public. I have a Kanye story, and had I not been in the room with Kanye for the whole afternoon and had that interaction that he and I had, I would be more sympathetic to Kim Kardashian. I'm not going to say anything else. Allegedly, Charlotte, don't sue my ass. I have seen with my own eyes how what the public is being told when it comes to regards of somebody with mental health issues and what is actually happening aren't always the same. And that's also a great segue for the brief conversation we're going to have about the Braxtons. Because, I was on Carlos King today with Dustin Ross and Carlos King and my girl, Claudia Jordan. Claudia Jordan and I used to be both on Fox Soul at the same time. I've always said Claudia Jordan is the one person who I've ever had fun with in Vegas. I can't stand Vegas. It's not my kind of place as far as the Strip is concerned, because as a psychic, Vegas feels like sadness and desperation covered in opulence and escapism. Like the juju in Vegas is icky as fuck. I'm not talking about the people or the community. The energy in Vegas is predatory and depraved and sad, and it's covered in glitter. So the same way some psychics can't stand going to the hospital, y'all think it's grave sites. Grave sites are actually pretty peaceful. The tortured souls are actually at the hospitals, not the grave sites. I'm just saying. So some psychics can't stand going to the hospital. I can't do Vegas. It just smells like disappointment and lying and optics. And so the one time I've ever had fun in Vegas was because of Claudia Jordan. And so when we did the show, we were talking about how people can present one way and be applauded while being the biggest villain behind the scenes. And I'm so nervous. I pray to God that these speculations are wrong or that they're over exaggerated. I pray to God that Keisha Kayor is being a lot more compassionate and a lot less opportunistic than what the public is starting to suspect. I'm praying for Gucci's sake that we are hyper vigilant, but there's not as much smoke as we think.
Spouse is declining in one aspect. It is your job to help your spouse through thick and thin, and that includes your mental health. But at the same time, it is not a woman's job to make sure that a man's mental health is okay when he has the resources to do so. Kim had her 4 kids.
When he has the resources to do so. So many working class people identified with that, what I thought at the time was a very lovely Breakfast Club interview just based on clips because I didn't do the whole deep dive on it. I didn't get to watch all of it the way I originally wanted to. What I saw of the clips made me so happy. So happy. So if you're a layperson who's working a 9-to-5 job, doing their best to be an entrepreneur, trying to survive the apocalypse and the upcoming recession, trying to survive Donald Trump, and you see Keisha Kaur helping her husband, you're thinking through the lens of an everyday person. But stop and think, if you were worth tens of millions of dollars, why is there not more medical professionals doing all this? Why haven't you hired someone who has the credentials to be there as a support system? Because I make 1/1,000th of what Gucci and Keisha Kaur make, and I'm already about to look into getting some nursing aides to help my mom. I'm already like, okay, who can I hire who's a professional, has credentials to help when I'm not around? So how is it that little old Blue is thinking about getting outside support, but not Keisha Kaur and Gucci Man? And they're millionaires.
That she had to take care of because Kanye wasn't doing it. She had her own business ventures, her own mental health that she had to deal with. Not everyone wants to micromanage a man like this. Or some people may micromanage their partner like this for some time, but then eventually want to put their peace first. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, you guys, the way I feel about Louisiana is the opposite of how I feel about Vegas. I go to New Orleans and I feel like I've gone back home. You already know how I feel about New Orleans, 10,000 Haitians, double the population. I feel like my ancestors are in New Orleans, so I love NOLA. And Louisiana in general. I want to go back soon.
Because this is a lot. Or at the very least, they would stop having kids with him. Because when he said that he doesn't want to be around his kids when he's having episodes, I understand that. But why keep on having kids then? Like, why do you have a 4-year-old if that's the case? And it's like, good on Keisha for being her spouse's helpmate and helping him through his mental health struggles despite their tumultuous past. But at the same time, stuff like this make it not genuine. Stuff like this makes it all look like a money grab. And considering the fact that we're talking about mental health right now, I hope that's not the case, Keisha.
If you think that Keisha is not anything other than a handler to Gucci Man, if you are a woman...
Now, this stunned me. I'm used to being the one saying stunning shit. When she said, I believe that Keisha might be his handler, bitch, I sat up. I'm about to sit up again. Now what now? That's some provocative shit. That's some strong language. When she said that she believes that Keisha Kaur may be his handler, I intentionally didn't watch this video because that one sentence stopped me in my tracks and I wanted to watch it with y'all.
I know you are out here letting men manipulate you. And if you are a man, I know that you are out here manipulating people.
She's saying that only people who are comfortable with manipulation, either being manipulated or manipulating other people, would not see Keisha as a handler based on what she's about to explain to us. So let's see if we agree.
Handlers have to be extremely manipulative when it comes to how they have to deal with their interactions with people. The whole point of being a handler is for you to say, you are too sick, you cannot think for yourself, you are incompetent, and so you need someone to look after you and tell you what to do.
Wait, isn't that what they did to Wendy Williams? And Britney Spears with the conservatives? Oh, God, no. Wait. Okay, these are all speculations, guys. These are not facts. You guys know I love to call out facts versus speculation. I pray to God. I'm not making an allegation. I'm just responding to this hypothesis that this young lady has put up. I pray to God that Keisha Kaur is not creating a public record to be his conservator later on. I pray to God that's not what's happening.
And what I find so funny is that a large red flag went off to me when Keisha had did that interview with Carlos. She said a key thing.
Wait, Carlos King that I just did my show with today? Wait, now how Carlos get in it? Hold on.
That really stuck out to me. And she said that the reason why me and Gucci work is because he needs me and he will always need me. Women and men were eating that shit up. They thought that that shit was some prophecy that Keisha was saying, because they thought that Keisha was talking about he needs me to fold his clothes, he needs me to cook, he needs me to clean. Gucci has plenty of money, and with the amount of money that he has, that's not what he ever and never needed her for.
Oh, y'all saying, yeah, that Carlos. Not now, what are the chances? Nah, I'm gonna ask him about this off camera. Okay, good to know.
Like, did y'all really think that how confident she spoke about their relationship was going to be based on the strength that Gucci Mane needed her to do domestic labor? No, he needed her because they're Britney Spearsing his ass. They're literally Britney Spearsing his ass.
the thoughts of Sovereign are the thoughts of Sovereign. I'm just watching this video for the first time with the rest of y'all because this is very strong language. And whether I agree or disagree based on gut, and guys, please be careful talking shit about people that I care about my comments. But I have not done enough research to co-sign or have a strong opinion either way. I'm watching this for the first time with you guys. I just want to underscore that before you think I'm endorsing this. This is not an endorsement. I'm just watching it with you.
You're crazy. You're acting out of control. Let me put you in a mental rehabilitation center. Let us dope you up on drugs so that way we can control you. That way we can put you in a conservatorship. That way we can make sure that there is someone constantly clocking every movement, every action, every thought that you are having, so that way you don't step out of line. And so that way we can have full control over you. And a lot of y'all cannot recognize this because you all think that someone looking after you means that they're looking after you because they love you. That's
Ooh. Can't speak on her allegations. That line, though, that bar she just dropped is quite literally my stance for Tawanda Braxton. So I'm going to take this down because I didn't realize that she was going to go so hard. Woof. I do my best to do research and also have videos where I can react as purely as possible with you guys. That one, wow. I'll say this as somebody who has not researched it and therefore doesn't feel comfortable making any strong statements. I am going to watch what happens to Gucci let it pan out and just tuck this away in my dossier. And if and when something happens that makes me feel strong in either direction, makes me feel strongly that this young lady was right and she wasn't wrong, she was just early, or that makes me feel like we were being unfair to Keisha, and even though she's doing a clear grift and cash grab to the audience, she still really loves that man and is taking good care of him and doesn't have ulterior motives. If I get a sniff in either direction, I will return to this because something that inflammatory, I can't speak just from a hunch, y'all. That's not my ministry. A lot of people come on here and they think that I just be talking on my ass. No, I don't. I'm a triple Virgo. I'm a Virgo stellium. Talking on my ass is not even in my fucking DNA. And speaking of Virgos, let's talk about, let me take this video down because that video just made my stomach hurt. That feels dark-sided. Where's the spray? Child, y'all know that I'm testing out a line of sprays for my shop next year. Ooh, let's spray. That was heavy. Gucci, I hope you're getting the love and the care and the respect that you deserve and need, and I hope your dignity is not being compromised and is being safeguarded by those who say they love you to the public. That's all I'm going to say. As somebody who deeply loves, and one of my favorite humans on the planet is schizophrenic, the idea that anybody in his ecosystem could be taking advantage of him makes me... All right, guys, let's pivot to the Braxtons. Before we pivot to the Braxtons, let's pivot to peer pressure, right? For those who are new here, let's level set and catch you on. If you don't follow me on social media, number one, why? Why not? I'm Bluecentric on YouTube, obviously. I'm also Bluecentric on Twitter. I'm Bluecentric on Threads and on TikTok. I'm Blue Telusma. I didn't think I was going to use TikTok, so I didn't even bother to use Bluecentric. I used Blue Telusma. I wish I had known before that I would. TikTok is actually my biggest platform, even though I'm never there. Very weird. So, on social media, I posted a couple of days ago, I think it was about 5 days ago, that y'all kept on tagging me in the Braxtons and saying, Blue, please do something on the Braxtons, please do something on the Braxtons. And I started to do some research, and within 5-10 minutes of research, I was like, there's no way in hell that I can do a deep dive on the Braxtons. Well, I'm going to play you a video of how my... For those who are wondering why I'm wearing makeup today, even though I usually walk around in a clean face and a turban, you're about to find out why. I'm going to do this intro showing you how y'all peer pressured me into talking about the Braxtons today on the Carlos King Show. And then I'm going to bring up my sister, Mel. Mel, if you can hear the sound of my voice, you're coming up after this, so get ready. All right, guys, here's how I started my week versus how I ended my week. This video is from Monday. It's now Friday. Things have changed drastically.
Hey, family. So I have recently gotten a lot of requests to do a video on the Braxton reality show. A lot of you have requested that I watch the show and do some social commentary. So I started doing research today to see if this was a viable request. And the very first video that I saw during my research was this.
Do I know where you live?
Well, of course you don't come. So
Exactly.
my thing,
how would
I know
give
where
it
you
to 'em?
live because I put down your down payment. Woo.
I know where you live because I made the down payment. Bitch.
So Dominique responded to this video and she said, Blue, you have to watch Carlos's interview with Tawanda Braxton. And I said, Dominique, Carlos just hit me up today. This must be a sign. When I first heard, I know where you live. Because I put down the down. Oh. Ooh. Now, here's the thing, though. Just because Tamar knows how to fight back doesn't mean that she's not fighting off a real threat. We're going to get into that. But, yeah. Whew.
And you've been stealing from me for the past couple years on my credit cards. And help
But
me.
what you steal?
I don't steal anything.
You don't? You sold men?
So she said, you've been stealing from my credit cards because Tawanda said, hey, my bank is doing some funny shit. Can you put down the $35K? This is Tamar's alleged version of events. Tawanda asked to borrow $35,000 as a down payment for her house and was told Tamar, according to Tamar, that it's just until this check that I'm waiting for clears. According to Tamar, the check never cleared and Tawanda just considered the money a gift. And so when Tamar says, you stole money, Tawanda doesn't deny that she took the money. She instead later says, well, you gave me the money, but it was a gift. So she doesn't deny that she took the money. And instead of saying, I didn't steal it, she says, what do you steal? If someone said Blue Chalupa stole $35K, the first thing I'm doing is saying I didn't steal shit. But to instead of saying I didn't steal, say, what did you steal?
Who's the man that I stole?
Tony's. You slept with them a few times.
Who? What man?
I fear Tawanda pull up to the scene with my ceiling missing. Braxton is a villain. I'm sorry. I feel like she's a villain. And I'm not saying she's a villain because she's bald-headed. Right? She has no hair. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is she still looks like a villain that happens to be bald. She's bald with has no hair, and she's terrorizing people with hair.
No. The minute I was like, y'all, I can't. Y'all know I'm still working on myself, okay? Y'all, I can't.
Yeah, so guys, I think I mentioned this before. God is still working on me. And I have a lot of Virgo in my chart. I'm not, nah.
And y'all steady focused on the wrong thing. This man wore a wig to his wedding. Y'all are focused.
Before anybody says, Blue, how dare you do this to people who have alopecia? I use Beyonce's Edge Drops, okay? I know what hormonal hair thinning is. So it's not, I'm not above this, okay? I sprinkle the little Edge Drops on my head every 48 hours. So it's not like I'm making fun of alopecia. It's that you were proud enough to wear your bald head to your wedding because you have alopecia, and you have a bald husband who decided to get a wig for the wedding instead. So I thought we were both going to go bald. So wait a minute. You got the wig. Let's hit play. And then you did a Party City Bridgerton bachelor. Tawanda's wedding colors were purple and doodle brown. God's still working through me. Give me a second. I'm a Taurus. Taurus and Libra are the two signs ruled by Venus, the goddess of beauty and pleasure. I won't even go live unless I pray to my auntie and then do my skincare first. I'm a delicate fucking bitch, okay? I'm a fucking daffodil. Purple and doo-doo brown is outside of my wheelhouse of what my sensibilities can take. And you borrowed $35K from the sister that you said that you can't stand, then why borrow the money from her? Doo-doo brown. Doo-doo brown. Sorry, let me just play the video.
No. I love y'all so much. As of right now, my God today. In the words of Dominic Morgan, my God today. Yeah, guys, let's pick another topic, okay? Because I feel like my intrusive thoughts would win, and I think I've done enough for now. So get somebody else to do it respectfully. And for anybody else who wants to do, I can't.
So now this is the part that was heavily contested, okay? We're about to go, what time is it? Okay, we're about to do the members only in 12 minutes good. God knew for me to schedule myself to get off of the general population right before we got too deep into this. Members, I love you. We will be continuing this conversation in the members area. I don't feel safe having this conversation into general pop. So let's just play the end of this clip real quick. So Tony got mad and got up and said, "You're messing with a heavyweight." I just saw Toni Braxton at a kickback a couple of weeks ago. She is gorgeous. She is tiny. She's a superstar. Everybody in the room freaked out when they saw her, right? And mind you, I was in a room full of R&B singers. So we're talking about Sir, whatchamacallit, Melanie Fiona, Estelle, Jimmy Jam of Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis was sitting right to the right of me. Toni Braxton walks into the room, the whole room stops, okay? Whole world stopped like Beyonce. Toni Braxton is that bitch. So when she stood up and said I'm a fucking heavyweight because she was frustrated, I got it. Tamar, who's second in command to be that bitch in the family, whether the family likes it or not, also got up and squared up. That's when Trina turned her back to Tamar to talk to Toni. Have you ever been in a situation where you're talking to someone and someone, complete stranger, walks up and with their back turned to you and starts talking to the other person like you're not there? That would trigger most people. There's an inherent rejection and dismissal in inserting yourself, usually when siblings argue, because Carlos and I, and please watch the Carlos Reality with the King show if you want to hear my conversation and my debate. We had a really great, rigorous conversation on Carlos King show. Carlos said, I'm child number 5 of 10 children. If my siblings are arguing, I'm going to stand in the middle and try to stop both of them. There's something about Trina turning her back, like you're dead to me, to Tamar, to look at Toni and say, you're better than her, you're a superstar. That is nasty. I have a theory about Trina that I can't responsibly say outside of the paywall. I can't responsibly say it. It would be irresponsible. Ooh, we're about to have an interesting live today, y'all. It would be irresponsible for me to share my thoughts on Trina Braxton. Y'all think, y'all thought I was talking about Tawanda, huh? Y'all came in here thinking I was going to be talking about Tawanda. No, that's too basic. You don't need me for that. I have thoughts about Trina and Tawanda and Toni and Tamar. But before we pivot to the members only live, oh, God knew. I'm so happy I'm not doing this to the Gen Pop because I can already hear all the ways I could get in trouble. Before we do that, can y'all welcome my sister, the bitch who won't turn her back on me? Because trust me, if I was to walk away from Mel, she'd put a tracker on my fucking phone and find me. You guys, please welcome. Look at you, ain't got a co-sign so quick, Mel. Y'all, please welcome my dear sister, the girl who only the members have seen because that's the only time I've ever let her on camera, and even y'all only gonna see her for 5 minutes because that's family. Melody K. Douglas. Melody, hey.
Hi,
Hey, friend, I love you.
Hey, friend. How y'all doing?
How do you feel about the fact that we're finally about to do this behind the paywall?
Girl, we need to, because even the build up, I was like, girl, wait, no, not the last 5 minutes. I can't say that. I ain't trying to mess you up at your job, girl.
Yeah, no. I knew that you had to be behind the paywall. I love you, and I know you. I love you, and I know you.
Hey, y'all.
Okay.
Sorry.
By the way, Melody's an Aries, just like Bridget and Kendall. And
we're all good company.
Even Claudia and Dustin on Carlos' show were both Aries. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Now, before we pivot to the place that we could talk candidly, have you watched the season of the Braxton?
I have. I've watched all the seasons.
So
And I like starting it because I could relate to sibling love. That's what drew me in. I love me
and
some
sibling resentment too.
But here we are.
No, are you sure you're ready?
I mean, here we are.
Okay, so guys, it is now 23 past the hour. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to end this live for the general population. I wanted to go over Glorilla versus Megan. We didn't have time, so I'll do that in the members only area. So we're going to be talking about the Braxtons, and then we're going to be talking about Glorilla and Meg Thee Stallion. That's tricky too. And because Mel has seen me go through so many iterations of friendships, what Glorilla is doing to Megan is what Mel has watched many people do to me and cuss them out, or wanted me to cuss them out and got mad when I did it. So Mel, trigger warning. You okay? You already look stressed. You haven't even started. You need to take smoke a J before.
Mad triggered.
Well, Glorilla, the fact that I sat here on Beyonce's internet, Mel, and spent so much time defending Glorilla against the bird that is Mariah, not a scientist, and her bad bitch boyfriend, old in the face thug, just for Glorilla to turn around and be an op.
I mean,
That's why I don't be shooting y'all bail, man. I be trying so hard to shoot y'all bail, and then y'all embarrass me.
Like, would you say earlier, like, wait, let it simmer or something? Let the tide turn. You gotta show up.
So we're gonna take a 10-minute break. So guys, we're gonna start because I feel like now that I'm really thinking about what I'm about to say about the Braxtons and how spicy it's about to get. And I'm actually happy that Carlos King had me on his show today, Mel, because I feel like my conversation with Carlos King was the only conversation that I could responsibly have publicly.
Boom. Because you can't do it with me. So sorry.
Right.
I'm not trying.
And because Claudia Jordan is close to the entire family, and as somebody who's constantly having people trying to get me to drag my friends online, I understood that Claudia Jordan was in a funny position where she has to watch her mouth because she's talking about people who she's friends with. I completely understood, right? So I was there to play responsible bad cop because Carlos is doing the show. Dustin is just a nice black man who loves black families. Dustin is like a spicy but wholesome Aries. Claudia has a conflict of interest. I was a troublemaker on the show.
Really?
And but I was being an emotionally intelligent troublemaker because there's certain things that you guys think are cool that are actually completely like vapid of emotional health. There's like normalized dysfunction that y'all think sounds nice that are actually incredibly toxic, right? So I was cute cop rather than bad cop. What the conversation I really want to fucking have with this audience? Okay. All right, y'all. We will see you at 35 past the hour. Mel, I'm going to send you the link. Y'all have time to pee, wash your hands after, nasty. Get a drink. I think I'm going to smoke a J.
Down. We'll see you there.
Because I can already feel where this is going.
Tequila.
For those of you who are not members, no shake, no tea. It's okay that you're not a member. Go watch the Gen Pop conversation that I have at Carlos King. Please, if you guys watch Carlos King show, say Blue sent us. Let them know and be respectful. Don't talk crazy over using my name. So if y'all go see Carlos King's episode on the Braxtons in this episode, please tell them that Bluecentric sent you and show them some love. And for everybody else, we'll see you in 10 minutes. I love y'all. Bye, family.